Hi everyone, this is my run on Dimensions and Transcendence Tier 7, the Reckoning stage, featuring the double murder imps, I think they're called. And this is going to be a no BT run, which hurts a little bit because you lack the BT synergy. But I didn't actually have Firion's burst weapon, and I don't plan to pull specifically for a burst weapon, so a no BT run it is. Now for the most part, this is a pretty straightforward fight, except for 3 things that you need to watch out for. The first of which is the Lufenia orb will tick down -2 for each player action that you take instead of the usual -1. However, to offset that, the orb does not tick down on the enemy's turn, so you do have that going for you, and that allows you to easily uptick the orb using Firion's traps, because the traps will replenish all the orb count to the max every time the enemy acts, so you just have to make sure that you get to sustain the orb until the enemy's turn. The second tricky thing about the fight is that while the orb is present, there's a 20% HP poison field effect that you can't dispel, and by itself it's not so threatening, but if your party member ends their turn with less than 30% of their HP, it will trigger a swing rod attack from both bosses on a random target. Swing rod is only a single target brief attack, but it reduces all your buffs, I believe, by 4 turns. So both bosses using swing rod will essentially eat away at all your buffs and will dispel your party buffs eventually. So you do need to keep your party as topped up as possible, which may sound strange bringing Vivi in this case, because Vivi also applies an HP drain effect on the party. But Vivi is there mainly for the raw DPS, and his HP drain can be offset by the healing from both Eiko and Firion, so it's not too bad bringing him as long as you watch the HP of him and the rest of your party. The third tricky thing about this fight is when the bosses hit both 79 and 49%, they will enter into a defensive aura state, whereby practically all your attacks will hit for 1 brave damage until their defenses crumble. To crumble their defenses, you need a total of 20 points, and you get 1 point each whenever you take a turn or you deal an attack that ignores defense. And I think there's one more conditional to it, but I can't remember at the top of my head. Essentially, you can treat it that the bosses will get a hyper defensive state for a small period of time, and you need to just survive until their defenses crumble yet again. During that mode, obviously attacks that ignore defense are a premium and is ideal for this fight, and that's where actually Locke's BT aura comes in. However, I also did not have Locke, so Firion it is. Now the start of the fight is pretty straightforward, so at the start I'm just applying 1 each of Tidus as well as Kurasame debuff, just so that I get a debuff up to sustain my damage. The start of the fight isn't so dangerous because Firion's traps are active, so he keeps the party topped up, and Eiko is there for supplementary healing as well. Just have to keep an eye on Vivi's HP drain to make sure that you have a way to top up your HP and do not let your HP drop below 30%. Lastly, I set a Ceodore call on Vivi. The main reason for it is only just for the burst healing that the call provides, so if you don't have Ceodore call, any other call ability that heals the party works. I only put that on Vivi just so that if he needs an emergency heal on himself, he can just use a call ability, and if he needs an emergency uptick on the orb, he can also use the call ability to uptick the orb. Anyway, from 79% to 49%, the orb will be cancelled out, so that's more or less a honeymoon phase. And here, as long as you keep Firion's trap up on both bosses, it's pretty harmless fight. At 79% they do get their defensive state, so you just need to sustain the damage until their defenses crumble. Vivi's Embers of Darkness does ignore defense, so you can use that to pierce through the enemy's defenses, but otherwise it shouldn't be too much of an issue. Anyway, here I've hit 49%, and that's when they enter the defensive state once more, and the orb will reappear with 10 count as well. So it does get a little bit tricky here because at this point, until the defenses crumble, I'm hitting for very little damage. If you need to, you can actually pop summon to help you buy the extra turns to crumble their defenses. I was actually just holding off to see how long I could survive without using summon mode, and you can see actually even without burst mode or summon mode, you can still get by the defensive state as well. I used the Ceodore LD call at this point, mainly to top up Vivi's health because I was afraid that he will drop below 30% HP when he uses an attack. So I must just heal him first before I use any of his attack at this point. Yeah, once their defenses crumble, the yellow aura will disappear, and at this point it's free reign till the end. You do need to keep an eye out on the nasty HP poison effect at this point, and that also makes Firion a little bit more difficult as well, because if Firion's HP isn't above a certain threshold, I believe 80%, he wouldn't have access to the plus version of his abilities, which really hurts his damage output. So just try to keep him as topped up as possible, and it should be a home run till the end of the fight. So I didn't know about it, but it seems that at 29% the bosses will enter defensive posture a third time. And this is a little bit tricky here because I don't really have a lot to deal with the high defenses. And because of the HP poison, my Firion is pretty low as well, so he doesn't have access to the plus version of his abilities as well. I guess that's where Eiko supplementary healing really comes into handy, to really top up Firion to full health. Again, if you need to, you can pop burst or summon mode here to buy you some time to deal with the heightened defenses. But essentially, it's all about trying to hang on until the boss's defenses crumble. I made a mistake there. I guess I should have popped summon. I was expecting Firion's EX to be able to break both enemies, but it wasn't enough on one of the bosses, and it led to Vivi dying, and this actually triggered a round of swing rod, which is not ideal. You really don't want your buffs being dispelled if at all possible. But it's not the end of the world. I can just reapply the buffs and continue on the onslaught here. I could have survived a bit longer without popping summon, but I decided to go summon mode here because the debuffs on both bosses are at 1 turn remaining. So just to make full use of the debuffs before they expire, I decided to pop summon mode right here. The bosses are low enough anyway that I feel that I should be able to finish them off before summon mode expires, so there's really not much need to hold on to summon any longer than this. Anyway, that's it for this run. As always, I hope the video has been helpful, and if you did enjoy the content, please leave a like, comment or subscribe. It really helps a lot. Till then, I'll see you guys in the next Lufenia Plus fight. Bye!